Good morning. My name's Keith Patterson. You're listening to 90% Half True. It's my little podcast, initially promoting my collection of short stories that is titled 90% Half True. It's available on Amazon as a paperback, hardcover, ebook, audiobook. And yeah, man, check it out. It's got some good stuff. It's funny. It's actually a funny book. I've got some wisdom and gems hidden deep inside the funny. I hope you dig it. 90% Half True. Hey, this is my second season of podcasting, and I'm trying to tie some things together and get focused. And something I'm focusing on right now is about just, hey, I'm in my 60s. I'm going to be 64. And, like so many of us, I have almost succumbed to the pull of the other side many times. I mean, just recently I survived COVID and infected tick bite and getting my prescriptions mixed up, and I mean, I feel like I've come through the fire, and I'm just, and that's nothing. I think about the people of Ukraine. I think about the people, the migrants at the borders, thinking just about everybody who has suffered from crimes and gun crimes and hopelessness and hate and fear, and really, what do you call those? You lump them. I mean, it's like we're suffering because of the forces of darkness and ignorance. The forces of darkness and ignorance are the enemies of light and truth. I mean, is that so difficult to go, I'm for pain and ignorance? That's like saying, I don't excuse me. I'm still a little verklempt here. Verklempt. Have a sip of my coffee. Like saying, I don't know. I don't want to know. And I don't want you to know. What kind of attitude is that? And I'll tell you what that is. That's called agnostic. That means anti-knowledge. I think, talk about anti-knowledge. Imagine the governor of a state actually publicly proclaiming, right here is where knowledge comes to die. Wee dogs. Knowledge comes to die. Man, that's called ignorant. And you can celebrate ignorance. I have celebrated plenty of ignorance. But at this advanced stage, I want to start celebrating the light. And that's why, for my second season on the podcast here, I'm celebrating Gnosticism, which Gnostic is the same word as knowing. Know things, to know things. To know things is to be awakened, to be awoken, woke. That's what that means. Being woke means you're embracing knowledge. You are embracing light. And where there are knowledge and light, there is love. So to be woke, you are embracing knowledge and light and love. And so what I'm doing here, I'm getting focused, I'm concentrating on knowing, on Gnosticism. And I want to help bring this into the world. Gnosticism is based on the Gnostic Bible, which is basically the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's all the stuff that got left out of the King James version of the New Testament. And it's a whole bunch of other gospels. That's the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary of Magdala, Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Judas. I mean, it's like these are all a part of the important crew, and they got left out because it's maybe stuff that, you know, religious leaders don't want to hear, don't want to share, you know, because it makes people harder to control, you know. So it's like, you know, I don't know. Don't want you to know, and I don't want to know. You know, that's uncool, man. That's like really uncool. Anyway, I'm gonna get back into the introduction here, man. I'm gonna back up a couple of sentences just to let you know where we're at. We're talking about you know, who is the Savior, who is the guiding light to these various peoples back, you know, a couple thousand years ago in the time of Jesus. In the time of Jesus and afterwards, Jesus was this character for the Gnostics. Simon Magoo, who lurks in the background of several Gnostic texts, and Dositheus is said to be the compiler of the 3 stels of Seth. Seth is, you know, one of the originators. The 3 stels of Seth, that's like the 3 books of Seth. Others, mostly unnamed, may have made similar contributions to the discussion of the profound question of the transcendent God. That means the God that will be forever. He transcends everything, the transcendent God. The profound question of the transcendent God and the demiurge. The demiurge is the lesser, demi means lesser urge. We'll have to look up what urge means, but it's like close to what you think it means. It's like, you know, according to what it's in here. We'll get to the story later. It's a story that Milton based his Paradise Lost on. Milton was a great writer, and you ought to check out Paradise Lost, but it's all in here. It's all in the Gnostic Bible first. And it's the story of the fall of the angels and how there was an urge, a demiurge, to break away from Godhead, or whatever you call the original togetherness, you know, the original mind of God when we were all together in light. Well, people, you know, some of the members of that gathering were not happy just being gathered together in the light. And I think about most of my buddies. It's like, how long can you sit at the, you know, right hand of the Father and like have it all be warm and the fire in the fireplace, and you've got, you know, you don't have to eat any, you're not hungry. You know, you're not hungry. There's no want, no need, no nothing. How long could you sit there before you wanted to go like dip your toes in the lake, maybe feel a cold wind on your face? So, you know, I'm not judging. But the demiurge, I'm a part of it. We're all here. We're here. We broke free from God. We're here. We are part of the lesser urge. The greater urge, the transcendent urge, is to be one with each other in love and light. That is the greater transcendent urge. The lesser urge, well, we're here. We're dealing with it. You know, I get to love my wife. I get to eat fatty foods. You know, I'm bony as I can be. You know, I get to run in the sun. You know, I also get to get old and die. I get to be shunned, even when I'm trying to do right. You know, I get to miscommunicate with the ones I love. I get to witness war and pestilence and violence and ignorance. You know, it's rough. You know, it's beautiful and it's rough. I ain't judging. I'm just trying to get into the light here. I'm going to read for a while. You know, so anyway, there's a whole, what we're getting at here is there's been a lot of discussion about the transcendent God, the greater God, and then the demiurge, the lesser God that created this world, because this world is imperfect, as we know. You know, the role of the Gnostic savior or revealer is to awaken people who are under the spell of the demiurge, not, as in the case of the Christ of the emerging Orthodox Church, to die for the salvation of people, to be a sacrifice for sins, or to rise from the dead on Easter. That is the biggest sentence in the history of rock and roll. The role of the Gnostic, the role of the Gnostic savior or revealer is to awaken people who are under the spell of the demiurge, not, as in the case of the Christ of the emerging Orthodox Church, to die for the salvation of people, to be a sacrifice for sins, or to rise from the dead on Easter. The Gnostic revealer discloses knowledge that frees and awakens people, and that helps them recall who they are. When enlightened Gnostics can live a life appropriate for those who know themselves and God, then they can return back to the beginning, when they were one with God. Such a life transcends what is mundane and mortal in this world and experiences the bliss of oneness with the divine. As the divine forethought, or Christ, in the secret book of John says to a person, every person, in the pit of the underworld, I am the forethought of pure light. I am the thought of the Virgin Spirit, who raises you to a place of honor. Arise, remember that you have heard, and trace your root, which is I, the compassionate. Gnostic literature includes a typical cast of spiritual or mythological figures and realms, but they are referred to by different names. Above and beyond all in the above and beyond all is the transcendent deity. In the book of Baruch, this deity is called the Good, and is identified with the fertility god Priapos. In the secret book of John and elsewhere, this deity is called the One, or Monad, as well as the invisible Spirit, Virgin Spirit, and Father. It is said that the One should not be confused with a god, since it is greater than a god. Elsewhere, the transcendent is called the boundless, depth, majesty, light. Poimandres reveals itself as the light, mind, first God. Mandaeans call this deity the great life and Lord of greatness. Manichaeans, the father of greatness. Muslim mystics, the exalted king. Cathars, the invisible father, true God, good God. Good God. Well, I've been at it here for a few minutes, so take a breath. Good God. And I hope you're enjoying this. I haven't read this since back in my early 20s, when I was just like out trekking. Man, I found myself out in the desert between the Rocky Mountains and Salt Lake City, out near the border of Utah and Colorado. And man, there was a drought going on, middle of summer. It's like 120 degrees, no water, nobody had any water. And I was on a bicycle, man. I was on a bicycle. Had no food, no water, had no idea where I was. 50 miles anywhere in every direction. All I had was 3 books, man. I had the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. You know, the Tao Te Ching, that's pretty heavy. I had the Book of Mormon, which I had borrowed from a girlfriend who wasn't allowed to date me, but did anyway. And I had the Gnostic Bible. And man, that's what I was, you know. But like I never made it all the way through the Bible back then. On one brutal day when, man, I was out of water in the middle of the desert on the side of the road, and thinking I was going to die of thirst, and trying to figure out how I'd put myself in such a knucklehead position. I actually used the Bible and the Tao Te Ching to stand on because my shoes had melted on the asphalt. And as I was trying to cool my shoes off, I was barefoot and standing on these books to keep my feet from just frying. So it's a useful book. Now I'm trying to read it and share it. I feel this is the Christmas season. I feel it's like, man, what does this season mean to me? What do I feel like doing, sharing? And this is it. You know, I want to share this book with you. Let me see if I can get back to where I was at. The glory of the transcendent is made manifest in a heavenly world of light. Man, I had a vision when I was out in the desert, and it was of this. And there's that moment. It's just a moment of light in between physical universes. It's when in that moment between physical universes, that's called the singularity. There is no physical universe. That equation that Einstein identified that defines our reality, E equals mc squared. Well, you see, energy, E, when there is no physical world, E doesn't have to equal mc squared. There's no mc squared. It's gone. There's just a singularity, and there's the energy of the universe. And that singularity, that's what I believe that the Gnostics are talking about. That moment between universes when we are all together as spirits and light. The glory of the transcendent is made manifest in a heavenly world of light. In the classic literature of Gnostic wisdom, this exalted world is often called the pleroma, or fullness of God. And the inhabitants of this world are called aeons, or eternal realms. The first of the aeons is usually the Divine Mother. For Simon Magoo, she is Helena, or Ennoia, the thought of God. In the secret book of John, she is Barbello, or Pronoia, the first thought. That's the Greek, pronoia, that means first thought. She is Barbello, or Pronoia, the first thought or forethought of God. Thunder in the text by that name has certain similarities as well. Sometimes the transcendent Father and the Divine Mother produce a child in spiritual love. What we're doing when they say sometimes, see, this is just an introduction to knowledge and what men and women have thought before us. That's all this is. I'm not saying you have to believe this. Nobody's saying anything. This is just sharing. We're just sharing. In fact, you know, man, I got this buddy of mine who is so bad. He's bad. He's rotten. But he gets all my jokes. And he comes up with some incredible sayings. And, you know, I mean, maybe one day he'll have his own book. But, so one of his, you know, this sounds like it's written by somebody famous, you know, but check out this. We stand at Armageddon and gamble for the Lord. Book of Ted. You know, I mean, that sounds a little risky. Standing at Armageddon and gambling for the Lord, man. You know, that's a little risky. Why can't we be more prepared than that? And you know, here I'm going to go back to I read this yesterday and the day before. This is worth repeating every day. Wake up and repeat this, man. This is know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed. For dang, man, it's like gospel. In fact, that's the Gospel of Thomas, which had to get buried in a clay jar and buried in the red clay of Samaria. I mean, this is what was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls in a clay jar up in a cave, where the religious fanatics of the day who burned down the great library of Alexandria just to hide this knowledge. And, you know, it's worth sharing. Just, I mean, if people hate it that bad, it's worth sharing. It's about light. You know, this is Gnostic. This is the opposite of agnostic. You know, if you're an agnostic, you're welcome to listen in. I mean, that's the best, you know, listen in. You know, maybe you'll turn Gnostic. Maybe you'll want to know, you know, because agnostic is, I don't know, I don't want to know, and I don't want you to know. That's agnostic. Well, man, I'm trying to get Gnostic just because it feels good. It feels good to know, you know, what came before. Man, maybe we can understand what will come again. Okay. Sometimes the transcendent Father and the Divine Mother produce a child in spiritual love. This is like sometimes in, you know, old texts about God. You know, there's been many writers and Gnostics, you know, I mean, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, they're all Gnostics. Anybody that wants to know stuff is a Gnostic. And sometimes in these writings, in this literature, the transcendent Father and the Divine Mother produce a child in spiritual love. Often the aeons, or creatures of light, are identified as spiritual attributes of the divine, are given names, and are joined together as couples, spiritual lovers in the fullness of the divine. In the Mandaean divine world, the great life is surrounded by other lives and a host of Jordans, or heavenly waters. In the Manichaean kingdom of light, the Father of greatness is surrounded by 12 aeons and 144 aeons of aeons. And in the Mother of books, the exalted King is surrounded by seas, angels, lights, and colors. Among the aeons and manifestations of the divine is often a figure who represents the divine in this world, fallen from the light above, yet present as the light of God with us and in us. In many Gnostic texts, this is the figure called Sophia, or wisdom, as mentioned above. In Valentinian traditions, two forms of wisdom are evident: a higher wisdom called Sophia, and a lower wisdom called Akamoth. Wisdom, it would be a great name for a heavy metal band. Akamoth, that's lower wisdom. Wisdom is closely linked to Eve in the creation stories, and Eve is portrayed as the mother of the living and a revealer of knowledge. Wisdom may also be linked to the Gnostic revealer, and wisdom may take part in the process of salvation. In the Gospel of John and other texts, the divine logos, or word, plays a similar role. Let me back that up. In the Gospel of John and other texts, the divine logos, or word, plays a similar role. Such is also the case with Ruha, the spirit, in Mandaean texts, and perhaps Salman, including Great Salman and Lesser Salman in the Islamic mother of books. As noted, the demiurge or creator of this world is commonly distinguished from the transcendent deity in Gnostic texts. The demiurge is ignorant, tragic, megalomaniacal. Wow, the demiurge is ignorant, tragic, megalomaniacal. Sounds like somebody I know. Wow. You have to back it up and do that again. As noted, the demiurge or creator of this world is commonly I gotta say it again, and this will be a good place to end this, if I can say this sentence. As noted, the demiurge or creator of this world is commonly distinguished from the transcendent deity in Gnostic texts. The demiurge is ignorant, tragic, megalomaniacal. In the secret book of John, he is depicted as the ugly child of Sophia, snake-like in appearance, with the face of a lion and eyes flashing like bolts of lightning. He is named Yaldabaoth, Sakla, Samael, and he is the chief archon and an arrogant, jealous god. In the Gospel of Judas, he is given another name, Nebro, said to mean rebel. In the Gospel of Truth, error behaves like the demiurge, for it becomes strong and works in the world, but erroneously. Similar too are the actions of nature in the paraphrase of Shem. Tahil in Mandaean literature, the 5 evil archons in Manichaean literature, Azazel in Mother of Books, and Lucifer or Satan among the Cathars. We're going to end right here. Let me do this sentence again. In the Gospel of Truth, error behaves like the demiurge, for it becomes strong and works in the world, but erroneously. Similar too are the actions of nature in the paraphrase of Shem. Tahil in Mandaean literature, the 5 evil archons in Manichaean literature, Azazel in Mother of Books, and Lucifer or Satan among the Cathars. Whoa. Hope you had fun, man. I got all worked up, you know. This is all I really know, and this is all I really care about. Because within the study of knowledge and the study of light is all love. And, to my wife, I love you. I love you like I love no other. To the rest of you, my brothers and sisters and family, I love you. And we should love each other. That's all we got. And, to the demiurge, it's like the Rolling Stones say, sympathy for the devil. What else you gonna do? All right. I'm gonna pick that up tomorrow, right where we left off. Peace, light, love,